fringe. You want to take the fringe. Now, one side is flatter than the other side. There's a right and a wrong side to this, and it doesn't really matter which side you use. One side will have, it's more noticeable on one side, these loops, and they make these bumps at the top. So you want to lay it down. That's usually the wrong side. So you want to lay it down wherever it's going to go. Wait a minute. First, we have to do something else. We have to turn the bottom. So you do that by, first of all, measuring this to see how much we need to turn. So this is 2 inches from the bottom of this design to the edge of the fabric. So I'm going to turn half of that in, which is here. And I'm going to want to check this on both sides because one side does have some printing, which I think is below what I need. So what I'm leaving is 1.5 inches below the design. So on this side, that goes to here, which is, again, 1/2 inch longer than I need. So I'm going to cut off that extra fabric. So that's both of these, and I don't need this lining extra here. So what I'm going to do is turn these into that 1/2 inch mark. So I've pressed the stole and maniple and chalice veil flat. This one still needs to be sewn. Now I need to put fringe on the bottom of these. I don't need to, but I want to. This is going to get cut off. There's markings on the bottom, but I need to know how far down I want to go. So I think I want about 1.5 inches, 2 inches. I think I really want. I think I'm going to go 2 inches and use 1/2 of that as a seam allowance. And so I'll have 1.5. The fringe will be 1.5 inches below, or the bottom of the stole will be below the design. So let me put it this way. So 2 inches down. That's not straight. 2 inches down. I'm going to cut this off. And on this side, I'm going to cut this off. And this one. I'm going to close these bottom edges, and I'm going to do that. First I want to make a mark where my line's going to be. So Here's my seam allowance. So I'm going to put a mark at both ends. I need to get some new pens. And in the middle. And this end. And the same on this side. The end. The middle. And the other end. Okay, so. And I do that because I want to turn these edges into that point. So I'll turn it in the middle. And turn it in at the end. And turn it in at the other end. Now I just want to make sure it's straight. And then I'm going to put some stitch witcheries right in that space. Now, yes, you could put the fringe inside. That's not something I do often. It just depends on whether you think it's going to look good that way or not. Most fringe has a nice header on it, and I think it looks better on the outside. This should be close. I'm going to do the same with this side. So where I make the mark, I'm folding that. This end where I made the mark, I'm folding that. It'd be nice if it stayed in there. It probably won't. This end, same thing. Where the mark is, I'm folding it. And again, those ends like to slip out, and that's why you would put the stitch witchery, is to keep it from doing that while you're putting the fringe on. So. Okay, so this looks pretty good. Let's see here. Looks straight. There's a little bulge right here. Now I'm going to take a piece of stitch witchery in there. Okay. So now I want to put the fringe, and so I measure the fringe. One side is, it has these bumps at the top, and one side you can see the rows of those, and the other side is mostly stitching. So mostly stitching is the wrong side, usually. Whatever looks best to you. So I measure 3 of these bumps past the edge, the 4th bump at the edge of the in this case, manifold or stole, whatever. Measure across, 1 bump here, and I'll add 3 more to that, which will make it this. So this is how long I want it right here. So you want to cut between those. The bump is made by these. What do you want? The fringe is going down. Come on. These fringes going down, and when you cut one, it'll come loose there. But if you cut in the middle of that, you'll totally lose that piece. So you want to cut after each bump. All right, so I'm going to put a piece. All right, so I'm going to cut this for both sides. So that's this side and this side. Three bumps. I don't know how else to describe it. There, plus 3. You see here. And this thread at the bottom, which just keeps it intact, you'll take off afterwards. You don't need to take it off now. In fact, it's a bad idea to take it off now. So that's the fringe I want to put here. So now I'm going to take some, again, steamosine this time, and go across the bottom, the whole width, wherever I want the fringe to go. And then I'm going to hit that. Hit this one. And I'm going to pull the paper off. And then I'm going to take off about a ½ an inch of it, and put it back down right at the very end on both sides, because I don't want the fringe to stick at the ends, because I want to be able to turn it. So I take the paper off, and then I just put a little bit back on at both ends to keep it, to protect the glue on those ends. So you'll see in a minute what I'm talking about. So there's both ends. Now I'm going to take the fringe, see where my 3 bumps fall, line it up with the seam, finger press it, do the same on this side. 3 bumps, 3 bumps, and then hit it with the iron. Now, because I put the paper there, it's not stuck all the way to the end. It's stuck most of the way, but not all the way. So I'm going to take this paper off now and turn those 3 bumps in, or whatever it needs to be turned in, till it each reaches the end right here at the end of the manifold. I'll do the same on this side. Now it's stuck. And I usually put a pin to remind myself at both ends, because I never know which end I'm going to be starting with. When I go to sew this, I'm going to start, you don't start sewing from the end. You start in about 1/4 of an inch, 1/2 inch, and go sew backwards and then across. If you try to start it in at the edge, and so it's going to curl this, you'll get a gap there. So, and that pin is just to remind me that I need to start in from the edge. So this side I'm going to do the same thing, take the paper off, turn those bumps. On both sides. And so this is ready to sew. The only other thing that this needs is, it needs this elastic in the center. Alright, so here's the center of the cross, right here. I'll mark where that is, because on the side you can't see it that well. You can feel it though. So here's the cross. So that's the cross. So I want to go in about 4 inches on each side from there. So that's here and here. And then you take the elastic and you're going to use this end of it, but you want it, you're just putting that end of it, that 1/2 of an inch where that pin is, and pin it. Notice the elastic is going that way. On this side, it's, again, doing the same thing. Again, it's going this way on the side, with only this much of it past the pin. And I'm going to sew back and forth across this. To put it in, and then my manifold will be done like that. You can put it over his arm. So that's that. And then the last thing is the burst, and I have a lot of videos on how to do the burst, but okay. So this is a little bit smaller, so I had to cut the boards down slightly. But apart from that, so I'm going to fold this in half and put a good crease right here at the bottom. And I'm going to do the same with the other piece. That fold is important. It's how you can tell one side from the other. So make sure these line up. And it doesn't matter which piece you start with, but you're going to open it up. Now you notice the design is facing down the long piece. It's because the burst stands on this edge, the folded edge. So you're going to open it up, going to take your burst sides. My other burst side over here. You're going to take your burst sides. The rule is fold to fold, raw edge to raw edge. So here's my raw edge. Here's my raw edge. Here's my fold. Here's my fold. So fold goes to fold. You match up those two folds, and you match the raw edge here. And you put some pins way toward the center, out of the way, because you're going to be putting your seam right here at the edge, so you don't want to pin it at the edge. And then you're going to do the same with the other side. This is the side of your burst. So fold to fold. This is the fold. This is the fold. Raw edge to raw edge. So, and again, I'm going to pin it in the middle somewhere. And then, I need to do this right sides together, and I have wrong sides up. Sorry about that. So let's turn this over. And I could refold this. I want a good fold there. You do the same on this one here. I want to fold the right sides together. Okay, so again, fold to fold, raw edge to raw edge. Right side, this is the right side. The inside is the wrong side of this. So fold, fold, raw edge, pin in the middle. Pin in the middle. Fold, right sides together, fold to fold. Raw edge to raw edge. Oh, come on. Alright, so look here and see. And then I'm going to bring it closed, and I'm going to take my board, my burst board, and put it on top here. Kind of center it. And I'm going to mark it, chalk a line. I should be about a little less than a half an inch, because I allowed for a half an inch, but when I cut the board, I actually cut it a little bit larger than that. So, and then move it down and make sure your line goes all the way to the bottom. Now I'm going to pin this so I can sew it. Now when I sew it, I'm going to just sew a little bit outside of that line toward the raw edge on both sides. You have to sew a little bit outside the line because your board has a thickness to it. About, not an eighth, maybe a 1/16 of an inch. So if you sewed outside that line about a 1/16 of an inch, I usually do about the width of the foot. Maybe a little less in this case. Alright, so I'm going to sew this, all those pieces. And there's still one more thing to sew on the chasuble, and I might as well mark that at the same time. Alright, so I have these twill tapes that I need to put on it. Again, these are longer than you want, but you could wait to cut them off till the priest tries it on. These are 3 yards, so with the two of them you got 6 yards, and that's, you really only need about 4. 2 yards on each one, or 2.5. So you could cut, I think I usually cut about 18 inches off each one. Alright, so on this, where's the twill tape go? On this one, it's going to go somewhere right about here in the middle of this design, about where this design is. This is he's going to want to wear it and pull it down so that this is behind his neck and it doesn't pull up on him. So so I would say he'll be going around his waist, which is, I want to say this is about where his waist would be. So I'm going to go a little bit higher than that. I'm going to go about the middle of this design. So I'm going to put pins, I know where it is on the other side. And on this side. When you're doing the chest type, it's easy to find this spot because that's where the two meet. That's where you put the tape. But the shoulder one, you have to kind of figure it out for yourself. So I think I'm going to go right about here. So come down a little bit more here. And here. Yeah, so all I have to do is turn this over. So this is where I want my tapes to go. Here and here. So I'm going to take one of these and starting here, you can turn the end in if you want. I have extra tape. And generally, you don't even have to put this tape for the shoulder type because it sits on the shoulder and it's not usually a problem with it pulling up. But most priests like it anyway. And so we do what they like. Give them what they want. So, tape goes over here. This is about the center. And this tape is going to go here. So one tape starts here and goes that way. The other tape starts on this side and goes that way. And they only really need to be sewn down at the end, but you want to tack them a couple places in the middle so that they're not in the way when he's putting it on or taking it off. So this is going to go to this side. So this is all going to get sewn. This gets sewn across like this and like this at this end with a couple tackings in the middle. You can take, once you have it down, you can undo the cardboard. Like I say, I'm going to take off. I'm going to take off about 18 inches. is the length of this ruler. And you might want to melt the ends of this, sew the ends of it, or knot them. I'm knotting them because they will unravel. Once you cut them, they unravel. Okay, so now this one, so I can sew all of those things, and then the only thing I have to do after that is finish up the verse. So. I've sewn things, now I just need to take pins out, cut threads, and so here's the maniple. Here's the maniple, and I can press it again. I feel it needs it. I don't think it really does. The chasuble, I've sewn the tips. I tack them only here in those places. I'm going to pull the threads, the pins, and cut threads. Now, if these tacking stitches don't hold, I may have to go back and hand tack it. Generally, they hold fine. They're locking stitches. And so generally they do lock, they hold fine. But if for some reason you find them coming out, you may have to go back with just a needle and thread and tack it by hand, manually. And on this side, now see, it just puts a tiny little tack there. I debate about doing one inside the picture, but it really needs one. And you can't see it, it's such a small stitch. We got over here on this side. What the back looks like. Okay. Alright, so that does need to be pressed. But it's ready to go. The shallow sail, I stitched that edge closed, and I don't think it needs any more ironing. I ironed it pretty well before when I closed it, so I think it's good to go. And the stole, again, all it needs is have threads cut here. Because it didn't get anything but fringe put onto it. And again, I don't think it needs to be pressed because I did press it really well before I started to do the hem, the fringe. So it's It's good. Now we just have to finish the burst. So the burst, you take the pins out and you turn it right sides out. And then you have to take the pins out from the inside as well. Where you've got the wings, the sides fastened down. Make sure you push your corners out. And then you're going to want to press this. Can't get your finger into it, use a pencil or the end of a pen. Okay, so once you have it nice and pressed, you're going to do the same thing with the other side. You're just going to totally ignore this center section. It doesn't matter whether you do it this way or this way, you may have to, it'll always come out. So now I had folded this the wrong way at first, so let me redo this fold. Because I had a little double fold in there and I don't want that. Okay, so fold to fold, right sides to right. So here's the folded edge. This is the fold edge. So you're going to put that fold to here, raw edge to raw edge, and pin it in the middle. Again, here's the folded edge, and I'm going to flip this out of the way, put fold to fold, raw edge to raw edge. You need to go outside it a little bit, you can. If it doesn't look like your edge is straight. Because we have extra fabric in these wings, these sides. So the piece in the middle, I need to just fold it so it's going to be outside of the sewing area, which is here and here. And then fold this down, making a sandwich. And then I'm going to pin my sandwich closed. Usually use about 3 pins, one at each end and one in the middle. And then I'm going to take my board and chalk my lines. So now I just need to mark lines. I'll put this about the middle, and I need to go over a little bit more. You need to cut your board down a little bit. you can do that. You can always shave off this cardboard. You can always shave some off the edges if it's not, if you have trouble getting it in afterwards. Right, so I'm not doing this straight. Let me steer straight. Now you're going to go around down the outside of this line, same as you did on the other side. There, I'll sew this. Pull it out. And again, we have to remember to take out pins. Push your corners up. And press this. You're going to want to press it so that your side seam is flat. You want to press both sides and then press the middle and bottom. And then you want to put a fold in each side, so you want to take the front and the back and put them together. And put a pleat in there. Same on this side. Now, you can slide the board in. Now you want to slide the board in so that the white side, and if this is a little at all rough, you can use a little piece of sandpaper, a nail file, anything that's at all gritty, and rub that down, move it out. But I'm not that concerned. So you want the white side toward any color is going to go toward the inside of the burst. So let's see if this fits. You want to write it in on top of the seams. So you get it started, then you slide it in on top of those seams. So it goes all the way to the bottom. And then you'll do the same with the other side. This is tight, but I think, yeah, once it gets past the beginning, it goes in pretty well. So now I can go over it again with the boards in there. What's going on here? Now all I need to do is to close this, and once it's closed, it'll be like this. You can open it up, it'll sit on that end with the picture will be up. So to close it, you're going to start with one side. You're going to push this side with the cardboard up against the cardboard, and all the excess fabric to the back of it, all the way down in here. So any excess fabric gets pushed way down in there, and you use your fingers in these corners at the end to get it as far down as you can. If it sticks up a little bit beyond the edge, it's okay because it's going to get pinched, but you really want this as flat as you can get it. So you could take a what do you call it, bamboo skewer, and push it down in the edges. You could use a pen or a pencil or something, a ruler, something to get it flat and down in there. And then you're going to turn around and do the same thing on the side. All of it goes to the back of the board. So push the front down, and then whatever excess is in behind it, and then go in and get your corners. And then you're going to fold these in. You really want it's nice if the inside one is a little lower than the outside, but it doesn't matter, it'll still get pinched. So then you're going to squeeze it together, and you're going to take needle and thread and just overcast from the outside board to the outside board, over and over, back and forth like this, around and around. So it'll take white thread and a needle, that works for me. Going to need about 18 inches. Whatever the width of your board is, and normally they were 9 inches, so I used to use about 18. This is actually 7.5, I think. So I need about 15 inches. You need about twice as much thread as the width of the board, or a little more than that. Why I do not hand sew. Yes, I have a needle threader. But sometimes I like to think that I'm not totally blind yet, because I can still thread a needle with a big eye. Okay, where's the end of this? Down here somewhere. So I'm going to take this, and I'm going to start one side. I'm going to put my thread in the inside. The knot is somewhere where it won't be seen. And going through this glued fabric is tough. All right, so now I'm going to go from the outside board, fabric that's over the outside board. I can get my needle through it. Come on. want to be a knot, I'll just cut you off. At the end of it? Yeah, that is the end of it. Alright, so now start at the back, go to the front, and I may need a thimble for this because this glued fabric is hard. I'm going to have to get my thimble. And then go back to the outside. It's driving me crazy. This one piece of the tail from the knot. And you want to go through the fabric, but not the cardboard. Now, you can pin these together by taking pins, putting them through the fabric on one side, coming out the fabric on the other side, and then going down into the cardboard itself, because this is cardboard. You will bend your pins, but that's okay. Do that again, because I went through, but too crooked. If there was a way to machine sew this, I would do that. Good. There's no way that I know if you can machine sew this. The cardboard in there. I suppose you could loosen up the edges and sew it, but I'm sure that's not an idea either. Never had trouble doing this with you before. I never had to work with glued fabric like this before. So, I mean, you can pin it like this, and it'll keep it lined up for you while you hand sew it across. With this fabric, I need a really sharp needle, a little sharper one than I've got in there, and I'm going to need a thimble. Okay. Okay, so I'll just take a couple stitches and then you get the idea. That's one.